Hi, Mike Griffin here with another installment of MTD TV. This time we're showing you how we monitor multiple transmitter systems from a single facility. On the left-hand side here are several TV stations, and this is their equipment at the CDC that we showed you earlier on the other video. And you can see there are two paths that are going out, and this one over a private line, and this second path is going through Lucent ATM cloud. And then on the other end, there's some terminal equipment, and finally it goes into a clean switch that will switch between these two links. And then there's some decoders in the feed to the transmitter. There's also a place to make notes and so forth, and to acknowledge the alerts. So what we have here, we're seeing some warnings on here. It said the private line was selected, and before that it had been on the other feed. And if you look, the green is showing that in fact the private line is selected, and it's selected on all of these. The selected line will turn green and the other line will remain gray depending on the state of the switch. So you can look at this and see the video path that things are taken, or I should say the digital signal feed. On this side we're showing an antenna, and the antenna represents the digital transmitter. And it is yellow, and that indicates a warning condition. Red would be an alert. And you can see that the power is below the threshold, slightly below the threshold for a period of time of 80%. As with all of these, we can drill into each of these items and get other information. It brings up another page, and this is a Tandberg device, as you can see. And there is various data that can come up in this middle window, and you can see that this ASI clock has been at a value of 1 for some period of time. We can look at the bit rate or any of these other parameters that are over in the selector and see what it is. Now this is not a very interesting thing, but you can see that whatever data the device has to offer, we can collect it here. The messages button lets us see, and in this case there aren't any, but it lets us see the data that has come, the messages that have come out of that device over time. Likewise, if we clicked on this device, we would pull up a page for it. And you can see on this one there are in fact a variety of messages. There's been a number of things where the stream has been selected back and forth, and in some cases there are some CRC errors. So at a glance, you get a view of the entire transfer stream as well as a representation of the condition of the transmitter. Now, as with all our pages, as I said, you can drill in, and we'll drill in next to the transmitter itself. And this is that transmitter. You can see at the top a view of the current status. Digital power is 99.5%. The aural visual power is at the analog visual power is at 82.9%, aural power at 89%. Since these transmitters are being monitored remotely, we have a view of the weather in the city, and you can see scattered clouds, 85 degrees. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. And then in the middle here is a view of a traditional transmitter log page, where you see the status of all the transmitters, and over time there's readings produced every hour, and with the reading every 5 minutes being reflected in this top column. Now the readings are shown here every hour, but we actually log them every 5 minutes, and they're data-based for actually as long as you would care to keep that data around for. If we click on the data selector over here, we're looking at total visual power now. You can see what the analog transmitter has done over time. And the top graph here shows what it's been doing the day. You can see the power was up and down on that transmitter for the day. And if we come down more, the view for the past week, you can see the transmitter seems to have a regular up and down pattern around this power level. And for the month, you can see that the trend. And likewise, there's a yearly trend. So perhaps as the analog transmitters are getting near the end of their life, that tube, they're just stretching the last life out of it. I really don't have the answer for that. But anyway, you can see what's happening there. That would be my best guess. If we go back to the TX log view, You'll see there's also links across the top here, and we can click on that and get the same graph. So there's a variety of ways that we can navigate around. We've also put a button to access radar, and you can see there's nothing going on, but in certain cases where there's a big storm or something like that, it might be interesting to tell it on the other end. And then here is a message log, which is a listing of all the messages that came out of any part of the transmitter, all aggregated together, and these are all about the the visual analog power level being below threshold. This system has a root cause analysis built in, so when your transmitter is off the air, if it sees there is no mains power and the generator is not running, it will root cause back to those. If your transmitter has power and one of the drivers has failed, it won't tell you that the thing is off the air because your output stage has failed. It'll actually tell you that there's a loss of power at the driver, and it will show the things that it is affected as dependent alerts below it. So there's a lot going on here that's not necessarily all visible on the screen, but a quick look at how we approach monitoring transmitters. And that's it for this edition of MTD TV. Thank you.